Are you desiring more out of life? More love, more connection, more experience, just more aliveness? Well, that is your soul calling you, and together we are going to uncover those soul desires and help you bridge the gap between your physical life and your true soul self. Welcome to the Suddenly Spiritual Podcast. My name is Emilee. I'm an intuitive, a psychic medium, and someone who recently and very suddenly awakened to spirituality. On this podcast, we are going to talk all about connecting with your soul to live your fullest, most beautiful life. We're going to talk about spirituality from the perspective of the everyday person. It's my goal that you feel seen and supported on this journey of discovering your soul and awakening to the incredible world of spirit. Let's get started. Hello, my friends. Welcome to June and to another month of messages from Spirit. It's Emilee, your host. If this is your first time tuning into the podcast, welcome. If you're coming back, listening again, thank you for coming back. Each month, I like to feel into the energy of the upcoming month, receive some messages from Spirit, and then share those messages with you. These aren't predictive, these monthly energy readings. It's more like, what lessons is Spirit bringing to us in the upcoming days? What ways are we being asked to shift, to evolve? What ways are we being asked to step forward in life over the next month? And it's really just an invitation to look at your upcoming days through this lens, see if these messages, these lessons, resonate with the experiences that you're having, and use this as a bit of guidance to lead you through any challenges and experiences that you have in the coming 30-ish days. For the month of June, I have 4 main points that I've written down for the month, and they all kind of relate to each other. They're all somewhat similar. So I'm going to go through the 4 different messages and I'll spend some time explaining each one. Now, as you're listening, I want you to be connecting in with your own intuition. I want you to picture your energy, your aura, picture it moving down into your heart. And imagine that you're listening to this from your heart space, from your soul, from that intuitive knowing that we all have within us. As you're listening, if some of these messages just ring so true to you, if internally you feel like, oh yeah, that's meant for me, I want you to trust that. If there are things I say that I bring through where in your heart you think, man, no, that's not really for me, I want you to trust that too. I want you to always be listening to what I'm saying, to what anyone is saying, using your own discernment, because you know yourself, your soul, your heart, your spirit better than anyone else. And it's always my intention to help you learn to trust yourself more. You are the one who knows what's best for you. Your intuition is the best indicator of what is meant for you in this life. And I want you to be empowered to trust that. Do not give me your power. Do not give anyone else that power, because you are completely capable of knowing what is meant for you. And I want you to always keep that in the forefront of your mind. So with that said, I'm going to go through what messages I had coming up for the month of June. So the first thing that came up when I tuned into Spirit for the month of June was this very thick feeling in my throat. And our throat is our center of expression. What I was feeling is that we're going to be invited to a new way of expression, a new way of expressing. And this doesn't necessarily mean communication. It can, but I got the sense that this is actually referring to something wider than just communication. It's referring to expression in this many other ways that we express ourselves. We express ourselves through art, through creativity, through movement, through, gosh, I just keep coming back to creativity, to what we create in this world. And creation is not just about making something artistic. You don't have to be an artist to create. Like they're showing me even the creation of things that seem really technical, like spreadsheets and analyzing things. Like numbers are also a way that we express ourselves, and we're being invited towards a new way of expressing. There was a really significant heart and throat connection here. And it was an invitation to, when we are expressing ourselves, to consider that connection with our heart. Are we expressing from a compassionate place? Are we expressing from a heart centered place? When I felt into the new way of expressing that was coming through, it felt lighter, it felt softer, it felt flowy, it felt more cooperative. And so for you, this may have to do with how you work with other people. One sort of difference that I felt was that in the past, the ways we've expressed ourselves, whether through speaking or through creating something, it's always been a means to an end. It's always been like, if I create this, then it will make me money. If I say this, then this person will like me. If I write this, then I can have a book. It's like in the past, our focus of expression has been for the end result of that expression. But the shift now is there's an invitation to explore the ways you express just for the sake of expression. It's more about the experience of allowing yourself sort of this free flow expression. It's more about that experience than the outcome of that experience. In the past, when I talk about this being a means to an end, what I mean is a lot of times our expression, the way that we create things, the way we communicate, our intention is to fix something, to solve something, to try and force other people to see our value, to believe our opinion, things like that. But this just feels so much more free flowing. It feels so much more like I feel the need to write, so I'm just gonna write, and I'm not gonna judge what comes out. I'm not gonna judge what's on the paper. I'm not gonna think this has to be really good so I can publish it someday. I'm just gonna write, and I'm gonna let myself have the experience of writing. A good example is probably dancing. I'm gonna dance because I feel like expressing my body. I feel like moving my body. It's what I want to do. There's something in me that needs to be expressed, and this is how I'm going to express it. Not because I'm a really good dancer, not because I want to dance in front of people someday, but just because it's the type of expression my body needs. Or singing, maybe it has to do with singing and expressing yourself in that way. It doesn't have to have a purpose. It doesn't have to solve something. It can just be you expressing you. I hope that makes sense. It felt like a real distinction, and it felt really artistic and flowing. It felt colorful, it felt creative. As I was feeling into it, I was getting that tingly feeling in my hands, which is something I get a lot when I connect with spirit, and it really felt like, okay, this is something where we're taking that sense of needing to express and making it physical, like we are bringing it into the world. The thing about creativity is creativity and creation, they're kind of the same word. And they're kind of the same thing. It's taking an idea or something that is non-physical and making it physical, expressing it into the world. And so there may be some ideas, some curiosities, some interests that you have that are in your head that this month it's time to express them. And that expression is going to take whatever form it needs to take. I can just kind of see that that creation is going to be a little different for everybody. But Spirit's encouraging you to hold it loosely, to let yourself have the experience of creating and let the experience of creating, let that be enough. Let that be the purpose. There's a lot more focus on that experience than the outcome of the experience. Sort of like not everything has to be a big deal. Not everything has to mean something. Not everything has to make you rich or move you forward. That's a hard one for me to say. Not everything has to move you forward. But I guess what Spirit's expressing through me is that it can just be for fun. It can just be because you enjoy it. That can be the point, and they're inviting you to let that be the point this month. The second message that came through was don't be dismissive of the impact of seemingly small actions. And Spirit was showing me how small actions that maybe we've been dismissive of in the past because it doesn't seem important. Spirit's pointing out that even the smallest actions are important. Even the smallest steps forward are important. And how I was seeing this was actually in the way that we treat other people. I was really seeing it in the compassion that we have for other people. I was seeing it in the way that we acknowledge other people. And this ties in with the third message that came through. So I think I'm just going to express these things together. The third message was compassion can be just as impactful as problem solving. And these two together, I just got this major sense that this month we're being asked to really lean into that heart, that soft heart space, and to use it to be compassionate towards other people and to recognize that even those small acts of compassion are important. They're important. When you smile at someone, it's important. When you take a second to notice that someone needs help and you help them, that's important. I just keep seeing, like, maybe you're at the grocery store and you notice that somebody needs help with their bags, so you help them with their bags. Maybe you see someone who dropped something and you pick it up for them. You open the door for someone. You notice that someone is struggling and you ask if they need help. These are such small acts of compassion, but Spirit's showing me how they're not small at all. And I feel like there's a collective calling this month to be more compassionate to each other. And it's not just that that compassion is going to impact the person who you are being compassionate towards. It will. But the effect is even bigger than that. The effect is towards all the people who see you act that way, all the bystanders. The effect is even just on an energetic level. Like, your acts of compassion don't even have to be witnessed, is what Spirit's showing me. It doesn't even have to be witnessed in order for it to have positive energetic impact on the world around you. This feels really important, to be honest. And that second part of this, compassion can be just as impactful as problem solving. What I saw was that if we do see someone, say, who we can tell that they are struggling, we don't have to solve their problems. Simply our compassion, our saying, "Hi, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water?" Like, I don't know. Maybe you're not somewhere where you can get a glass of water. But there are ways you can be compassionate towards someone where you're not solving their problems. Because if we're encountering people, even people that we know in our personal life, but also if you just see someone out in the world who needs a little help, You're probably not going to be able to solve their problems. Only they can solve their own problems. They can find their own solutions. But we can be compassionate towards them. And sometimes that compassion is what they actually needed. People don't always need a solution. They just need kindness sometimes. Sometimes they just need someone to show them that they matter. And giving them that compassion can help them to feel empowered to move forward through whatever issue they're facing, whatever problem that they're facing. It can help them to feel supported. It can help them to know that the world is full of people who are compassionate, people who are kind, people who will take 2 minutes to say, "Hey, are you okay? Can I help you?" And our job isn't to solve the problems of the world, but it's to have compassion. And through that compassion, it's like it's a ripple effect. That compassion that we're showing towards just one person is having an effect on the entire energy of the spaces that we're in, of our communities, of our families, of our towns. It expands and expands and expands. And I'm seeing this so clearly happening between people, and I just keep picturing it between strangers because it's almost like when you're kind to a stranger, that impact is so huge because unfortunately, I find that in our world today, that kindness is so unexpected. We're all so busy, and there's just a reminder to take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, a small pause to show that kindness to someone else. It can be as simple as having a kind conversation with the barista at the coffee shop, complimenting someone on something that you notice about them. It can also be something that goes completely unnoticed. Like if you're going for a walk and you notice that someone's trash can has fallen over and you just picking up the trash can, just having that compassion for other people and taking the small amount of time to live through compassion. It's also coming back to that heart throat connection even, and being willing to express compassion in the world. I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I wanted to touch on the fact that expressing compassion can feel very vulnerable. But just like we talked about that different way of expression in the first message that came through, we can express compassion without the need for other people to respond a specific way, without the need to receive praise for that compassion, without needing to be recognized for it, without being worried if someone is going to respond back to us with that same compassion. We can just express it because that's how we're being asked to express our heart. And it can be important to us just to have that experience of expressing compassion. We don't have to receive something from it. As I'm talking to you, I'm really seeing how all these messages are so deeply connected. The last message, the fourth one that came through for me for the month of June, this sentence just rang through my head and wouldn't stop until I wrote it down. And that is, life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be lived. And that sounds so basic, right? But if you're here listening to this podcast, you're probably also someone who gets really caught up in conceptualizing life. You get maybe even caught up in learning, in analyzing life, in thinking about living, making plans, always trying to improve, always saying, okay, what do I need to heal? How can I be a better person? And Spirit's reminder for us this month, this final reminder, is that life is meant to be lived. Reflection, analyzing, it's all great, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't let yourself step out into the world and actually live. So, what actions, what living have you been putting off? What living have you been avoiding? What have you not been allowing yourself to do, to experience? It's a reminder. Life is meant to be lived right now, not later when you think that you're some healed, perfect person, but it's meant to be lived right now. And I can see how this month, when we talk about expression without needing a specific outcome, we talk about experience. Spirit's inviting us just to have fun. Allow ourselves to have some fun this month. Allow ourselves to have some experiences this month. I think a lot of these experiences are going to come alongside that compassion and that connection with other people. But not everything has to mean something. Not everything has to be a big ordeal. But life is meant to be lived. So this month, let yourself be alive. You don't have to search for how to be alive, how to have the best experience. You don't have to search for some big grand thing to do. But you can just ask yourself, ask your soul, what does my soul need today? What do I want today? What am I feeling called to do today? And then let yourself act out those desires. And that's it. That's being alive. Let yourself take some risks if that's what's on your heart. Let yourself experience those things that you have been wanting to experience. Go to the good restaurant, spend time at the beach, take a whole day and do nothing, whatever it is. There doesn't have to be a specific outcome, but you get to have the experiences that you want right now. So as you're moving through life, on your journey of bettering yourself, of connecting with your soul, connecting with spirit, don't get so caught in these non-physical things that you forget to have the incredible, beautiful physical life that is right in front of you, that you are meant for. This experience of the world is an incredible gift. Make sure you let yourself experience it. Okay, my friends, those are the messages I had coming through for June. I hope that this gives you some focus, some direction for the upcoming month, and I will chat with you again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Suddenly Spiritual podcast. I'm so grateful that I get to be part of your journey of spiritual expansion. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts. It's a quick, free, easy way for you to support this podcast, and it helps me reach more people who are looking for support on their spiritual journey. You can find a link to leave a review in the show notes. Thank you so much, and I'll chat with you soon.